Good afternoon and hello everybody. Welcome to our webinar covering Milpark Education's postgraduate programs within our School of Professional Accounting. We are super excited to be talking to you, which is becoming an evening, so call it this evening. I'll start by introducing myself and all the lovely faces that you see with us over here. But first and foremost, again, a very warm welcome to you. And please know there is a chat on the side. There's a Q&A section. So please engage in the chat, ask questions that you have. This session is about you finding out more about us and our programs that we have to offer. So I'm sure many of you out there are the CAs of the future. We're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And hopefully that excites you. But to start, let's introduce. I'm Jonathan Dillon, Head of School of Professional Accounting and Milpark Education. With me is Tracy Kraus. Tracy is HOD of our postgraduate programs within our school. Kim Hendrickse. Kim is an academic lecturer on the team tax, the tax team. They would say they're a very important team, and they are. Tax is so important. Well, SARS certainly believes so, right? In all of our lives. So that's from the School of Professional Accounting. And then we have three special guests, three of our alumni, who we are very thankful for joining us this evening. We have Mbusi. Mbusi recently qualified. You've had a story out already on your journey, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. Mbusi. Lumka, you also recently were with us studying, working, and then Shadiso, you also with us. You guys are mentors. You guys are so part of our program, and I've really so enjoyed interacting with you and just hearing where you guys are at. And we look forward to hearing from you, especially your experiences of our program. So without further ado, we're going to talk a little bit about the academic side of the program. We're going to talk a little bit about the non-academic side, because that's also a very important side of our program. And as I said, we're also going to hear from our alumni. But before we hear from them, I'm going to ask Tracy Kraus. Tracy, would you mind telling us a little bit about the two programs that we have, that we're talking about here, and why so many students enjoy them, the structure, flexibility around the programs that we offer?
Sure. Thanks, Jonathan. Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to be in this session with you. Thank you so much for joining us. As Jonathan mentioned, I'm head of department, and I oversee the Postgraduate Diploma in Accounting as well as the bridging program to that CTA program. I've been part of the CA Connect team for close on 14 years now, and we've walked a long journey. And so I've been part of the team that really designed and set up these programs. And I think for any prospective students joining us, it's important to know that two of the really key pillars that we kept in mind as we designed this program were flexibility, as Jonathan mentioned, that we're catering for students who are working and studying at the same time, but really want an experience that is similar to what you get at a contact institution. And so that second one is support. So feeling like there are people with you on the journey as you are studying. And so those really underpin how we've designed the program and how we operate the program. And I hope as you hear from our alumni, they will tell you about their experience with that. So as I mentioned, we've got two programs in my department. The PGDA is our CTA. It is a one-year program. Actually, it's more like 10 months from start to end, but it's designed as a one-year program. And then our bridging program, which is a 6-month program. So it's half a year. We have 2 intakes a year. So obviously we're talking now, we're looking forward to the intake in February and the beginning of the year, but we also have a mid-year intake in July for both of those programs. So you can join us in whatever part of the year fits your life and your rhythm in terms of what's going to work best. And for both programs, we offer a full workload and a half workload option. Now that was really designed thinking about those working students. Many of our students have other responsibilities. In addition to work, you might be a parent, you might be a spouse, you might have parents that you're looking after yourself or other commitments. We've had professional sports people, all sorts of different circumstances. And so we wanted this program to be flexible for your needs. And so if you've got the ability to dedicate 40 hours a week consistently, for a way, we recommend the full workload. That will allow you to do the course the fastest in the minimum amount of time. However, if you realistically have a look at your life and realize that 40 hours a week is a very big commitment, and whether you've got other commitments or not, 40 hours a week is a big commitment, then the half workload option is maybe something that's a little bit more flexible and more easily to adapt into your life. And on the half workload, you're typically going to need about 20 hours a week on a consistent basis. It does double the length of the program and the time that it will take you to complete either the bridging course or the PGDA, but it does make it a lot more sustainable and realistic for you to be successful. And certainly in the PGDA, I'm a big fan of the half workload program. I think many students think it's an academic decision. It's absolutely not about how strong you are academically, whether you do full workload or half workload. It's about how much time you have available. Some of our best students, our top performers, have been half workload students who've just had other commitments and so have chosen to do the program over 2 years. So I really want to highlight that. There's more information on our website if you're interested in learning about more of that. Then in terms of our assessments, we offer them both at venues and you can also write online. So there's flexibility in terms of working out what's best for you in terms of your journey. Obviously, we're looking forward to IAC, previously called ITC, which is a venue-based exam, and we want you to be ready for that. And so being able to write at a venue is an important option. But given the flexibility of our program, given that it's fully online, it's important that we also offer an online option. And we've had students write online from overseas or different countries, rural places. As long as you've got a strong internet connection, you are able to write online. And then lastly, just to mention how we work the material each week. We don't just give you all the material and say, good luck, see you at the exam. We want to walk with you through the journey week by week. And so there's a weekly release of material on a Friday, and then you're given a week to kind of engage with it, spend some time. There'll be a video, something to read, look at your handbook, answer this MCQ, see this worked example. Let's move on to the next concept. It's a guided learning journey, not just like a PDF and a video to watch, but a guided learning journey through that material. And then the week after that, there's an online live session for each subject where people like Kim will meet with you and discuss and unpack some of the concepts that the material has been in. And that's an opportunity for you to ask questions and engage with your class. So at a very high level, that's kind of the structure of the program. As I said, we want to walk with you through that. We want to offer support. And so we have a number of mechanisms for you to engage with the academics. If you have questions, you can engage with us on our help desk, which is similar to sending an email. You kind of log a ticket and get a response. We also have a Viva Engage community. Works fairly similarly to a social media platform where you can post kind of a public question, whether that's about the administration of the program or an academic question, where the team will get back to you. I've mentioned the live sessions, and then there's also an opportunity for consultations where you can set up time to meet one-on-one or with a small group if you're working as a study group, to ask questions of a lecturer directly and get really individualized feedback on whatever your question is. There are lots of support mechanisms. So I can't go into all of them, but those I would say are the main ones that we see most students leading into from an academic perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. I think that's a good little summary that you gave. They're very good. I'll give you 9.5 out of 10. Very well.
Not my first rodeo.
No, very good. I think just to pull out a few things, we've got a bridging program, we've got a PGDA. Bridging takes you from an undergrad to entry into our postgrad. All of our programs within the School of Professional Accounting, we've got 3 programs. We've also got a BCom. All of those programs are what we would call SAICA-accredited. The new terminology is endorsed, so SAICA endorsed, SAICA stamp of approval. Even the bridging, what do we mean by that? Our bridging, even if you complete our bridging program, it's accredited by SAICA for AGASA purposes. So you can come do a bridging program where you're bridging into postgrad, the postgraduate diploma, and as a result of having done that bridging program, when you get that certificate from us, you actually go to SAICA, and with the relevant work experience, you can be an AGASA already. So there's something in that as well for those who are considering doing bridging. And I know, Chadiso, you did the bridging program with us. So you're going to probably give your email just now and say if anybody has any questions. I'm joking. I know you got to work. You don't have time for that. But yeah, and then there's the PGDA. And the one thing that I've always said to students is you really need three things. And students need to think through these three things when coming for success with us. You just need to make the time available. You can't embark on something. So that's why, like Trace said, it's 20 hours versus 40 hours. That's the half workload versus full workload decision. It's not an academic decision, not to say it's like higher grade, standard grade type of thing. It's just how much time do you have available. When you make the time available, you then need to be disciplined, because in our environment, we will give you everything that you need for success. We'll give you the program, there's the resources, there's the academic, there's the psychosocial, non-academic support. Everything is there, the community to support you. But if you can't ABC, apply bum to chair, and be disciplined to, engage and do what you need to do, then you can't expect to be successful. So it's making the time available, it's being disciplined. But then there's another key thing, and we really work with our students on that, and that is believing in yourself, your confidence, and making sure that you confidently are not just receiving knowledge and then hoping, but you is receiving knowledge with the confidence that I've got this thing and I can do this. So, we really work on those. Even if you're struggling in one of those domains, come to us. We'll help you with that, because we can help you be a little more disciplined. We can help you with your confidence, whatever it may be. But anyway, those are a few things there. And then, Kim, I want to bring you in here, because you are a lecturer who very much is engaged in this thing of supporting our students on the academic front. So let's stay a little bit on the academic front, and tell us a bit about how you work in a team within Team Tax. It's not only Kim is Team Tax, there's a team there. And then, how you engage with the students in consults, live sessions, etc. It'd be wonderful hearing from you, Kim.
Thanks, JD. So, we've got the sort of broad academic team, and sort of we're all involved in both the PGDA and bridging program. And then we've also got sort of our separate subject teams. And yeah, generally sort of about 5 lecturers, including maybe academic trainees per team. And I think, we work collaboratively. And I think what's really valuable is that we've all sort of been through the PGDA experience. Not necessarily at Milpark, but we've all been through that PGDA experience. And so we know what it takes, and we know what it takes to succeed, and we have an understanding of the challenges. And particularly our academic trainees, we lean on them a lot, because they've sort of most recently, been through that journey, so they can talk a lot to the student experiences and the more recent challenges involved. So we definitely do work together. There's no one person responsible for particular topics. We sort of need to kind of engage with all of those topics. So you can sort of engage with any one of us on that. And then it is an online program, but it's not just about sort of releasing modules on a weekly basis and saying, you go forth and work through that stuff. That is definitely an important component. But I think, as Tracy said, I think there's a common understanding amongst lecturers, as well as like in the design of the program, that holistic support, academic support included, as well as sort of opportunities to connect, are sort of key to success in any educational environment. But I think maybe more so in an online environment, because I think it's definitely very possible for students to feel alone in this journey. And I think that's just not what we want. So I think we want students to feel like we are together in this. And so the support options are key to that. One of them being the lives. And so we have live sessions on a weekly basis from a Monday to a Thursday. So each subject has sort of one live session, or takes one day. And there's a 12:30 session and then a 5:30 session, and they run for about an hour each. The 5:30 session is a repeat of the 12:30, and it's all recorded, right? So again, speaking to sort of the flexibility there, it's meant to sort of be the lunch hour or the hour after work. And I think these live sessions are really an opportunity to connect, for, academics to connect with students, but also for students to connect with students, kind of just sort of an acknowledgement like, listen, we all sort of facing the same struggles. You may be a little bit behind this week. There'll be someone with you. You may be finding this module slightly more challenging than another. There's going to be someone there with you. So an opportunity to connect, but also an opportunity to sort of talk through, the challenges academically. What are we struggling with, this week in this module? What have students maybe struggled with in the past? Can we assist you with that? I focus on sort of understanding an application as well. Just sort of key things. We're not aiming for coverage in those sessions at all, but it is an opportunity to connect and for us to ask questions and clarify things, right? So that would be the live sessions. And then we also have, consultation, as Tracy did speak to as well. And there's sort of a booking system, and you book online, and you can see when the various lectures are available. And generally, there are many available slots, and the time they also vary. So we've got sort of after business hours, we've got sort of like, after 6 p.m. in the evening, maybe 6 to 9 p.m. And then we've got also sort of before working hours from sort of 6 a.m. in the morning. And that again is just, if you want to have a verbal sort of conversation, discussion with someone, whether it be, to clarify sort of academic things, whether it be to work on your approach, whether it be like, listen, sometimes you just need to have a conversation with someone and speak through your struggles, or maybe you just want to explain what you think this particular principal is trying to do, and that's all good. So you can come as a one-on-one, or we've had instances where we've got 2-on-1s, or we've got surprise 6 people in the session. That's also okay. We encourage those study groups as well. So that's sort of the options for kind of live interactions. But then, as Tracy said, we've also got sort of the Viva Engage virtual platform and emails if you want to sort of have more of a written response to questions as well.
Yeah. No, thanks so much, Kim. You've touched on a few things there that I think I just want to unpack a little bit more. You explained them very nicely. I mean, I'd want to be in your class. I'd want to consult with you tomorrow, just after what you've said. So but the one thing is you underplayed just the importance. There's one thing that you said, you don't focus on a particular topic. Like, you take these topics and another academic these topics. So Mbusi or Lumke, if they want to consult, they can choose anyone in Team Tax, see when's availability, when suits them, and then they just say the topic they want to talk about. So that's also what makes it easier then to get access to the help that you need. Our team of academics, like you said, all CAs, been through the journey, can also not only explain the content, but can resonate and understand the toughness that there is in this journey of the PGDA, just that we know it's not a walk in the park. It's as much an emotional and mental, battle and thing that you're working through together with just the knowledge hurdle that you need to get over. And then with the live sessions, I thought maybe Chidisa, maybe I can ask, were you a regular live session attender? You just look like somebody compared to Mbusi Lumka that'll attend live sessions.
Honestly, I might have attended them too much, because I think one thing that is that was said was that the live sessions are repeated. But the nice thing about it is that you get to hear the live session at 12:30, and maybe if you have 30 minutes. And then if you have another 30 minutes in the afternoon, you can still listen to the same thing explained maybe slightly differently, because the lecturer's mood might be a little different a little bit later in the day. So you get to also get the
lunchtime mood or after hours mood.
you know what I mean? So I think just that double exposure, it really helps just to solidify concepts, because you're hearing the same thing from the same person more often than not. But I think the teams do make it an effort to make sure that both sessions are also not prejudicing the others, so you don't really get more value from the one more than the other. But like I say, I maybe abuse it a bit too much. But
yeah. Well, the one principle that we have is a live session is not about reteaching. Everything that you need for success on the course is for you to access whenever is best for you to access and engage with the material. A live session is like a value add. So we would never want to do something in a live session, which is a moment that would benefit those who attend a live session versus those who don't. Well, there is the recording, but then to try and add a layer to say, hey, you must go and watch a recording, because everything is already there in the elements that we have. So, yeah, and the lunch hour is then repeated in the evening, so you can do it and access it however. Busi, Limka, do either of you want to feed in on the consults? Because Kim, you also mentioned the consults and the booking of consults. Actually, maybe one of you feed in on consults, and then the other one was Viva Engage that we've got, the community with posting of queries. Busi, you want to go?
Yeah, I think for me, I think the consults worked very well. And there's quite a number of reasons to it. I think the first thing, like with the consults, you have a lecturer that you're speaking to, right? And you just have the benefits of being able to just put all your cards on the table, right? So what I tend to do with the lecturers sometimes, after I've written an assessment and I expected a particular mark and I didn't get the mark I was expecting, I would then take my script, set up, a session, and then show the lecturer how I went about answering the question, right? And we would speak about how I then approach questions versus how I could have approached the question better. And for me, I think that was such a huge learning experience. And I think it's so golden because you have the people that are actually marking the scripts, right? Helping you. And because sometimes, especially for auditing, like you feel like your points are so valid. You're like, I wrote my heart out here, right? Only to find that what you're saying sometimes is not necessarily, what is supposed to generate marks. I'll just make an example, right? For me, I think when I approached auditing, I enjoyed auditing, right? And I always had this experience from an auditing point of view. So when I write my auditing assessments, I would answer the question, but I wouldn't generate sufficient points to prove that I know how to get to the answer. And now instead of getting 10 marks, now I'd get 4 marks for that, right? And I think having to then sit down with the lecturers and consult face to face, we sort of moved away from the mentality of saying, okay, I'm going to bring my experience to the exam and sort of like pass the question. I think it was more of a journey of how do you then use the experience and the knowledge you've gained to build to an answer that makes sense from an academic point of view, right? And for me with auditing, that was my journey. And I think having this access to lecturers really played a role because had I not had that, I would have gone straight to the exam, wanting to prove that I've got experience in auditing and then fall short. And you will see once you also start to engage lecturers, you also just want to do better because you just want to say, like, the next time I consult, I just want to prove that I've learned and I've fixed my mistakes, right? So for me, I really enjoyed one-on-one consults. And I think across the program, I didn't use like one-on-one consults for everything. There were particular modules where I felt comfortable with just sending an email, put down all my issues, my problems, put it out there, send it, and I knew that I would get a response within a reasonable turnaround period, right? So I think 24 hours, I would have my response. So, there's a lot that's available. Some people would engage on Viva Engage. Sometimes we'd go there, go into a subject like accounting and see what the other students are raising, and the lecturers are there responding, and you sort of get to learn. So I think like access to a lot of avenues is quite critical in the program.
Thanks, Mbusi. That's really, really cool to hear from you. Do you want to color it in there? Because I know with us, it wasn't your first attempt at PGDA. So you are comparing what you experienced in our program to your previous studies in that.
Yeah, sure. So, I've done PGDA before. So I think my story is sure, yeah. So I've had my fair share with PGDA. So I've never actually had the opportunity to do PGDA full time. So I did try to do PGDA on a part-time basis. But I realized that for me, like, it was quite difficult to balance work and school, especially if you don't have structure. So I really, really struggled. So when I did my PGDA, I couldn't pass or balance all module and pass them at once. So it either 1 year I'd pass one or two, then the following year I passed the other module. So I think that way I could end up completing my PGDA piecemeal, but I couldn't have access to ITC. So I took a break from academia, and I think it was mainly because of health reasons. But after coming back, I was fully recovering from my health experience. I really wanted to do PGDA, right? Because for me, I think it was the one thing that I couldn't solve. And it was quite important for me to answer that question or solve that missing puzzle, right? So I decided, I'm just going to look for a program that is structured and that actually works for me. And in fact, like, I would listen to these sessions that we're having today just to get a sense of what is happening there on the Milpark side, right? So I gathered from these sessions that they've actually got a structured program, right? And it actually works. It works for you. So and also the benefits of having two opportunities. You can start in January or start in July. And for me, 2023 was the year where I said I'm going to do PGDA. But I wasn't ready in January, so I said I want to do it in July once I'm ready. And once I do it in July, I want to just finish the whole journey and not lose momentum. So I really joined Milpark, and what I really, really enjoyed, I loved about Milpark is the structure. And when I joined, for instance, I saw the entire program ahead. Like, I knew from day one where my exam would be, right? And I knew every week what was coming, right? And the program as well, I think it paces your learning and studying, because you don't want to find yourself worrying about topics for week 7 when you haven't even covered topics for week 1, right? So the program really paces you, especially when you're working and studying. Week 1, I'm focusing on deferred tax. I'm focusing on VAT from a tax point of view. I'm focusing on, cost models from a Mac point of view. And that's the structure. Because when you get to week 3, there's always if you're falling behind, you catch up very quickly. You get to realize that I'm actually falling behind and there's knowledge gaps, and now you need to put together a plan. So I guess the program for me was quite a well-structured program. And I think the one thing that I have to say is the way the program is structured and the learning and teaching worked for me in particular, especially the type of person that I am, because I had access to everything. Recorded videos, material is available. You get to consult. You have a community where you can ask questions. You can send emails, you get it back. The learning is continuous. I know TD Iso said you would attend lab lectures. I never missed a lab lecture. Right. So every afternoon, I had an out of office. After 5 o'clock, my employer, I told them respectfully before the start of the journey that I'm embarking on the CDA journey. I need your support. I need to be attending lectures at 5:30. And I think there was mutual respect there, so I could attend all my classes.
Fantastic hearing from you. And I know there was a piece written by our marketing team on You Are the Mbusi that was written by Mbusi and Ndlovu. And what was it? From ICU to ITC. Is that right?
ICU to APC.
APC. Sorry. I cut you short there. Okay, no, wrong. To APC. So, I mean, just hats off to you for the journey you've been on. Really, just want to say that there, and well done to you. Well done to you and every single person that's passed PGDA, but especially to you, the journey that you've had. There have been so many students. Trace, I mean, Kim, we often see these posts, like after somebody gets their PGDA and they just say, thank you so much, Milpark team. My life was this and you helped me with this. And it gives me goosebumps every time. It's just wonderful. Yeah.
If I could just add a short comment there. And I think seeing that I joined the July cohorts, so I would have done CTA from July, and I would have written my exams now in April 2024. So that gave me access to write the June ITC. And I think for me, going into the ITC, I felt that the program prepared me sufficiently, right? So even though I did the board course, but the objective of the board course was quite different for me, right? But I really felt that the information, the knowledge that I got from the program was enough to lay that foundation. And I guess from the board course perspective, for me, it was just adapting to the way ITC asks questions and being able to just map out the exam technique. So I think in that regard, for me, the program really worked. And also just having access to the material, because sometimes I would go back and listen to the material, even though I was preparing for ITC. So I think like holistically, I think the program worked for me. And now I'm going to write my APC in December, and I'm still going back to material, right, from the program.
Yeah. And you still have access to it. Now, we let our students still access the material for a while after. Lumka, I am going to bring you in, but I just want to park on this thing over here. You've mentioned the PGDA board course and RTC, and I think there's something on that over there as well, because what our team has been doing, there's no longer an RTC, it's now an IAC from January 2025 going onward. And the IAC is slightly different, with there being 3 papers in January, with it now being 120 marks over 3 days versus the 2 days. So structure has changed, but largely the paper is quite similar than to the RTC. It's not yet the IAC that's envisaged from 2027, where there's going to be a lot more. There's definitely going to be a paper that's rubric-based marking and focused on pervasive attributes and acumens. We have, by the way, had a webinar on CA of the Future. There's a recorded webinar that you can pick up on that, where we had a lovely discussion with Mandy Ullifeed from SAICA. But we are we adapting our PGDA as we feel we need to for that, with, for example, the assessments that you guys wrote, Chadiso, Mbusi, and Lumka. They are now different. There's now 2 minutes per mark for the assessment, not 1.8, as SAICA is now giving a bit more time. There's no longer the delineation of reading time and writing time. There's just the assessment time. And our subjects have gone through a process of looking at the content in the PGDA to the CA of the Future competency framework, and we are making slight changes. The one thing we are firm on with respect to our PGDA is that we believe we need to help our students wherever they come from coming into our PGDA, because we don't have only one undergrad that feeds into our PGDA. We take students from various institutions, different journeys that they've been on, and as long as you meet the entry requirements into our PGDA, you come in. We don't assume a lot. We rather assume less than too much, and we take you from there. In other words, what I'm saying is we make sure you're firmly grounded in the traditional 4 disciplines that there are, being the taxation, the financial reporting, the management accounting finance, and the corporate governance and auditing. So, Mbusi, on your comment where you said, you know, the board course did something for you, and that is what we see. And I know for me, that's what the board course was as well. It's a little period after your PGDA where you just get to consolidate, you get to reflect on your journey, bring things together. And that doesn't mean there's no integration in our PGDA. There is integration in our PGDA, but it's staged and staggered integration so that we don't put the cart before the horse. In other words, it's integrate before you don't have the disciplines bedded down. Just a comment over there. So Kim, Tracy, I don't know if you want to add anything on that with the CA of the Future and where things are shifting.
Yeah, I'm happy to just make a comment or two, JD. Just to say there's a journey happening. It's very exciting in our profession that things are moving and shifting. And SAICA is working closely with the universities and the providers in that process. So it's not entirely clear. The road is still being built for us as we move forward. But we are working closely with SAICA. We have a good relationship with them. We've got really experienced lecturers in the team, people who are excited to improve and move forward and innovate and adapt and really equip people to be professionals who contribute in our economy and to make a difference in our country. And so, yes, we want to prepare you for IAC, and yes, we are working that journey, but also looking beyond that to your career and the skills that are going to stand you in good stead wherever you choose to take the CA/SA qualification, because it will open many doors and you're going to have to pick one. or 2 or 3, but that it helps you in whatever kind of career you find yourself. And I think that's really what the CEO of the Future Competency Framework is trying to do, is trying to create well-rounded professionals who can adapt in this changing environment that we find ourselves in. And so we're excited about that. Students who do our course reattempt or have to repeat the program or on half workload and see multiple versions of it can see how every year there are shifts and there are improvements and there are changes. And so, yeah, we're moving forward and we're working closely with SAICA on that journey.
Good point. We definitely are. There's quite a few of our academics that are involved with discussions with SAICA, committees, etc., and we know what's happening there. And we're partnering with SAICA, let's say that. And SAICA appreciates all the institutions that are partnering with them on this journey. We've waited long now, but Lumka, I want to bring you in. Tell us on the academic side, from live sessions to consults, Viva Engage, what stood out for you? What helped you?
Hi everyone again. I think for me, mostly when Mbusi was talking about the consults, I literally had a vivid memory of what happened with me with test 3 last year. So test 3, I felt like it was a difficult paper. And I remember halfway through the paper, I had given up. So I think there was about a few minutes left. I submitted my paper and I was like, I failed this, I'm done. Yeah, because, you know, you have that image in your head that, okay, test 3 is such a big thing. You know, you want it to go well. And then when we got our results back, in the drop-in sessions with Tracy, she advised about the consult. So throughout the whole entire year, I wasn't using the consultations. And then she was like, you know what, just go consult. You don't have to be prepared in terms of a question or whatnot, but go there like to uplift your confidence. So I went in and Rwandu was the one that was actually in the session. And, you know, before we got into the technical stuff, he made me calm. So he first got to know, how am I? What am I doing? How's it going? What's the process? Where do you come from? So he didn't just get into it and like, what's going on? What's wrong? He actually wanted to also get the well-being of my mental state. So I really appreciated that, because I feel like sometimes with CTA, it does feel like you are a bit isolated, or you don't necessarily understand what's going on. And you feel like it's only you going through that, you know, because I feel like when you're aspiring CA, you want to look smart, you want to feel like you're smart all the time. So when you get a 30, it's like, am I stupid? You know, does everyone else actually understand what I'm going through? And with him, he really made me, we went through the paper together and he showed me like where I could have passed, even if I didn't just deal with the technical stuff. He's like, because you gave up, that's the difference, that, you know, from you failing and passing, because I think I had 40-something% and I was expecting a 20, and he was like, you were able to get a 40 even while giving up. So he lifted me up from this rock bottom pit and he put me on a mountain where I was able to now see management accounting a very different way, because in undergrad, I didn't like management accounting. I felt like it was always my demon that I always needed to sit down and just try understand, especially standard costing. I hated it. And he just took me from that hating it to really loving it. Like now I am so passionate about it. Like he taught me how to approach it, you know, like to understand it and how the mob plan works. So I cannot, like from that day, I literally valued consults because it was structure. You book your date, you ready. And I honestly didn't go there with questions. He led the whole session and he took me from a point of failing to really doing well in my exams. I was shocked at the marks that I got in my exams. So just that one consult and having that opportunity to talk with somebody to take you from a level of, you know, this to that was really one thing I'm grateful for. And like, even with the Viva Engage, you know, like sometimes I think what I appreciated about that was, you know, when you're sitting and doing or going through the work, you might feel like, am I the only one thinking about this question? And when you go to the Viva Engage, there's a lot of people asking the same question and you're like, okay, we all won, you know? So there's that community that is, you get to engage with other students as well and the lecturers. So you familiarize yourself with having that confidence to actually ask questions, because, you know, sometimes you feeling smart also means that you need to ask the questions. Because if you don't ask the questions, then it means that, you're not able to or willing to learn. So when you ask or put yourself on that platform of asking questions and engaging with other people, I honestly believe it really does also prepare you when you're doing your articles, for example, to just take the platform, be a bit vocal, so you're not just in the background, you're hidden. And I think another thing, non-academic wise, was the drop-in session. I call them the therapy sessions. After writing a test, or maybe you had a long week, you're able to go there and just vent with other students. So whether it's about CTA or just a week at work, how tough it was, there was a small community that was built in those sessions. So I think one thing I appreciate about Milpark is that you don't feel alone in the session. Like, there's so much community, even though everything is done online. You feel so close to your lecturers and your fellow peers that you kind of able to go through this journey with a mental capacity that's strong. And another thing that I think I wanted to touch on was what Mbusi has said in terms of the structure. I think Jonathan used to always say in the live sessions that you need to plan. And I feel like when you have an overall plan, it's easier to sit down and you already vision what your week is going to look like, because, whatever you've put down on paper, you're able to sit down. Because I think one thing I'm telling my mentees now is that if you don't understand what you're doing in the week, you've probably already failed that week, because you're not prepared yourself mentally to get there. But with Milpark, every week they prepare you where you're supposed to get, and consistency is what, makes the Mona Lisa at the end of the day. So those are those small things. And I think with the live sessions, it just prepares you to be on, like, not really ahead, but you get more value when you go through the work and you attend the live sessions, and you're able to get those golden nuggets from probably what you've missed or what you didn't even think about, that you're able to note down. I enjoyed it, especially with the Mac classes. So overall, everything that has to do with Milpark really assisted me. For me, my biggest hurdle was ITC. So I exhausted my ITC attempts, and coming back, because I didn't even use the board course for ITC. I did it because I think it should be advised that people should still register, especially if it's your first time doing it. But for me, I didn't even do the board course. I remember when I was writing in January, especially, I think a part that was with management accounting, there was a similar question we wrote in the final exam. And I was like, Milpark prepares you so much that I only had, I think, 2 weeks or a week to study, because I started a new job. I had to take unpaid leave. So there was limited time. But I had the confidence that I was able to attempt ITC because of all the tests and, everything that especially happened in the final exams, that when I wrote my ITC, it didn't matter what questions they asked me, because I didn't go through a lot of ITC past papers. I went through my revision notes, through some lessons that maybe I missed a certain thing. And I think with that, Milpark teaches you how to think, like, critically. It's not really about, it is about the technical aspect, but I feel like Milpark trains your brain to be able to see past the question. It doesn't matter what question that you do, but you're able to apply yourself in that moment and actually think outside the box. So that's what I really appreciated about with Milpark, that I didn't do much past papers. I didn't have enough time to study for ITC, and I made it. I passed. So that's really one thing I'm very, very grateful for. So yeah, that's my that's my 2 cents.
Huge congratulations. Well done, Lumka. Yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head with so many good things that you're saying there. Yeah, and I'm so happy for you. I mean, in your shoes, when you've exhausted your ITC attempts, to then come back and to pick up something like the PGDA and say, I'm going to do this thing again, takes resilience. And that, well done. Well done. You see, what I think is embedded in our program that you touched on there is our program focuses also on what we would call a time-constrained student. We assume that students don't have the luxury of time just to read this and read that, and we want to make sure that anything that you engage in is value-adding to your journey that you're on as a prospective CA, not only necessarily for the exam, but for life beyond, as a successful value-adding chartered accountant in any role that you're going to be in. And an important thing there is the thinking. So also when we answer queries and that, when I was still in my role as subject head for management, accounting and finance, it was always this thing of, when a student asks a query, don't just give them a fish. So 1 + 1, what's the answer? 2. No. Try and teach them to fish. Understand why is the student asking 1 + 1. Come alongside them and then teach them how to tackle that thing going forward again. And that's kind of the premise that we go about with our teaching, is we don't want to only just be feeding you or giving you knowledge for a moment, but we want to be empowering you for your journey beyond, not only as a student, but in the roles that you're going into. So we're going to come back to our fantastic alumni that we've got here. Chadiso, I want to pick up on your journey a little later as well, because you are one of our alumni who's done our bridging course as well as our PGDA. I want to come back to that. I just want to spend a little bit of time. Trace, maybe can you go through, because somebody who was meant to join us, Terry, from our Student Success and Wellness team. We have Student Success and Wellness advisors that come alongside our students to support them. You've got just some pointers you can share there, and then I want to bring back our alumni as well, because you've already touched on it, Lumka, with the drop-in sessions as an example. But let's just color that in a bit. What does the non-academic support look like?
Sure, I'm happy to do that, Jonathan. Yeah, so as Jonathan mentioned, we have 3 Student Success and Wellness advisors on our team. These are ladies who are mental health professionals. So I mentioned that when we designed the program, we really had student support and genuine care in mind. But as chartered accountants, we're sometimes not equipped to help students from a psychosocial kind of aspect. Students go through a lot in PGDA. PGDA is an incredibly demanding, mentally taxing year, and also life doesn't stop. Like, many students deal with loss or bereavement, some health issues, lots of different challenges, traumas, whatever that happened during that year. And so we really wanted those with the skills and the knowledge of how to support our students on, a grueling journey, plus whatever life throws at you in that process. And that's why these ladies have joined our team. So as I said, registered counselors, mental health professionals who are equipped and skilled in that aspect. They are available for consultations as well. So free of charge, part of the program, you can meet with them and they can chat through what you're facing, how you're struggling. They also offer a counseling session. So there's a registered psychologist at Milpark, and they can refer you to her if there's something that she can assist with. They offer some live sessions to give advice on guidance on common questions that they're often facing. So for instance, if a lot of students are asking about time management, like what are some skills that we could have for time management? What have you seen works for other students in the program? They offer a session around how can you manage your time, what works around, other commitments, and how do you get the hours in, how to deal with anxiety in the program and facing the anxiety of writing assessments. That's a big thing, to control your anxiety as you go in. So they help with live sessions in that space. And then the drop-in sessions, which Lumka mentioned, those are non-academic live sessions, just kind of, as you mentioned, like a group therapy where students across cohorts can share. Bridging students can talk to PGDA students and vice versa. PGDA students on different parts of the journey can talk and encourage each other. Those often become a close-knit community. It's a very student-led session. Us academics are not welcome generally. It's a safe place for students to talk honestly with each other. And then they also facilitate study groups. We really encourage students to find study buddies. Doesn't have to be someone who lives near you. Can be fully online as well. So they facilitate that. And they've recently started something which is very exciting, which they've entitled Come Study With Me. It's essentially an online library. So it's a space that you can come and you can sit there and you can do your practice question, you can work through your material, you can do what you need to do, but there are other students also sitting there working with you. It's like being in a library space, and you just know, okay, I'm not the only person here at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, or 5 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. The other people on this journey with me, and that's a really great space. And then in the PGDA, we have student reps just to help with the facilitation of communication between lecturers and students, and a very exciting mentorship program, which is where our alumni come alongside current students And we have 3 mentors sitting here this evening, where they come and they offer just their advice and their encouragement. Maybe you get disappointing results with a test, or you're not sure, like, you're having a little bit of a speed wobble in the process. Just someone who can say, you've got this, you can do this, and someone who knows the pain of what it is, but can also encourage you on that journey. So we love our mentorship program and we love our mentors. So thank you to each of you on our panel for also being part of that program. That's a wonderful way to give back and to support our students. So yeah, lots that we do in that psychosocial space, but those are really that's like kind of the highlight package of what Terry, Nazi, and Khadija oversee for us.
Yeah, thanks for that, Trace. As an academic that's been in consults, and I'm sure Kim, you can also resonate with this, is students often struggle more. Well, there's 2 domains I'm thinking of. The one is the confidence thing, just believing in themselves. And I think as academics, we can often help to talk confidence into them for them to believe in themselves. But then there's this other domain where students struggle with life, maybe mental health, maybe anxiety or whatever, where we can just do so much as academics. And that's where this team of student success and wellness advisors really comes alongside and helps the students. So let's go, Mbusi. Did you access any of this non-academic support? Did it help you in your journey?
I was actually typing in the chat. I was trying to type, but I think for me, because I think I indicated that coming back to do PGDA was more of proving a couple of things for myself, right? So fear of failure was there, because for me it was, I've never actually really passed CTA to get entry to ITC, right? So at the back of my mind, even though you have the confidence that you're going to do this, but there are times where, you just feel like, oh, what if I don't make it at the end of the program, right? And those thoughts do creep in, right? So after you get your test results, you were aiming for a 50, then you get a 40, and you're just like, what's going on, right? And then you set up sessions with, the SSD team. I had sessions with them. In fact, we got to a routine where they would tell me that now I need to come back, and then they're going to have check-ins. And that helped me sort of manage my anxiety in the process, because they would tell you that you are doing fine, you're going to pass, right? And then would work on these things, these thoughts, or this fear of failure. And that for me was so important, because I knew I had a mechanism that was managing that fear of failure, because PGDA, guys, PGDA is PGDA, right? And it gets so overwhelming, right? And these guys are so nice. I think for me that worked out. In fact, I was trying to type in the group, highly recommended. I think that is a golden service. And they really also just take interest. They would actually sort of reach out to me, to say, are you fine now? Are you recovering? So I think that is golden. I definitely worked with the team, and throughout, up until I wrote my final exams, I would consult with the team, and it definitely worked for me.
Excellent. Did you have a mentor, Mbusi, as you went through PGDA?
Interestingly, no, but I am a mentor.
Did anybody, Chadiso, Lumka, did either of you have a mentor? Chadiso? Okay, you want to talk to...
Yes, I had a mentor. I think the nice thing that I like about the mentor is that, a lot of the time we don't talk about the emotional aspect or the emotional toll that this journey takes on you. A lot of the time we talk about what success we are aiming for to become CAs, but we don't talk about the fact that it's actually painful, it's actually draining, it's actually lonely, and there are times where you feel so discouraged, you don't even know, should we continue with this journey? And so a mentor, I think, was very valuable for me, because they reminded me that it's not about what I don't know. It's about how much more am I willing to put in? How much more time am I willing to put in? How much more sacrifice am I willing to put in? How much more am I willing to endure? And if anything, ask myself, if I've gotten this far, am I going to quit? Because sometimes my mentor will be like, okay, fine, brother, quit then. It's fine, quit. think about it, see how it'll play out in the next like 2 months, 3 months, 4 years, 5 years. And I think from the bridging already, that's when I was like, okay, I can't, I have to continue. And, that's how I think I was privileged to have gotten just that support, because if we don't acknowledge the emotional and mental toll that this journey can take, I think that's when it really can go bad. And I think for me, that was an intangible that was priceless.
Excellent. I want to pivot from there into Lumka, because you said no, I didn't have a mentor, but now you are a mentor. So I'd love to understand, why are you a mentor now, and maybe share one or two things that you're helping your mentees with on their journey.
Okay. So I think with last year, because I had started out the year working, and then I decided to resign middle of the way because I couldn't do the whole full. I felt like I wanted to give my all with Milpark. And I'm not saying that if you do this, you can't do it full time. Trust me, there are people here that have done it full time. It's all also about knowing who you are as an individual, I think, at the end of the day. So when I then decided to do it full time, I think I was just already so passionate. So with the drop-in sessions, I just wanted to add, we always had this golden nuggets moment where, we'd take all the quotes, and I had all of that on my wall. So I felt like that looking at that every day was kind of sufficient for me to get through. Like the drop-in sessions, I was attending religiously Wednesdays and Fridays. So Wednesdays at 7:30, Friday, at 12 in the afternoon. So I felt like my mentorship or my motivation came from there. So I didn't necessarily, because I've been through PGDA, I did ITC, so it was a matter of just seeing where the gaps were for me. But then the one thing that really made me want to, because I remember when I passed Tracy, I was like, Tracy, what's the process to be a mentor? I'm there, even before the link went out. Because I think in the dropping sessions and how many people I started engaging with after, because I met my study buddy at the dropping sessions where we'd put on our Teams, our laptops on Teams, and just study. So we wouldn't say anything to each other, but it was more of an accountability buddy system going on to show up daily consistently, because it's really about being consistent, not necessarily about trying to kill, or how Jonathan would say it, eat the elephant all at once. No. So it's really about biting it bit by bit. And I think I was really passionate about how the people that didn't make it in my year group were reaching out to me. So they were trying to get tips and what to do in the next year, and some would just call, for motivation. It wasn't even about telling me the marks and everything. And that's what made me like, what, if they need that, anything I can do to help someone else, I'll definitely do it. Because I honestly feel like you cannot do PGDA as an island. It's impossible. Even though it looks like it's a finance thing, you want to try attempt it on your own. You need a good support system. You need an institution that's going to support you, not only just technically, but with Milpark, it's also like emotionally, mentally, so you're really not alone in this whole thing. Like the fight, it's like you are gathering with soldiers. You're not just on your own in the battlefield. Like you were given the knife, you're given the shield, you're given so many things to going into war. So that's one thing I really appreciated. And I wanted to take part in that and help, in however I can contribute to giving or providing weapons for that. And I think with my mentees, so yeah, I can be so passionate. I tend to call them, I have sessions where I tell them this is not like a technical thing or anything like that. I just get to know what's happening, how's the week, how's it going, because sometimes they might not be able to do that maybe with their partners or their families, because I don't think a lot of people understand this journey. My parents to this day, they're just waiting for me to just give them the certificate. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand this journey because they're just like, you've been at school. I don't understand. So it's sometimes nice to talk to someone that understands the whole process of, what a fail is, because, getting a 40%, you do kind of feel good about a 40 sometimes, because you're like, what, I did try to give my all, but nobody else would get that 40% part. Well, not pass, but almost pass rates, basically. So I just have calls with them after writing, before writing. I send them, quotes and just to uplift them, because I'm one person that believes that you can never rise above your confession. Whatever benchmark you put for yourself daily, yearly, monthly, that's your benchmark. So if you already think you're gonna fail, it's highly likely that you're gonna fail. So Milpark really lifts you from the low energy benchmark to being confident in yourself and believing that, you know what, I actually got this, I'm gonna pass. And I also have planning with them. So I help them with the planning, because a person can never win if you don't have a plan. Like, then you're planning to fail. If there's no plan, you're planning to fail. So I do have like sessions with them where I do create like a planning template that they can use on Excel, not this manual thing, but they can actually change it around, work with it, just so that they can see per week what to do. So yeah, I've enjoyed the journey so far. I don't know, if I can be a mentor forever, I'd love to. So that's basically me.
I thought you were going to say, if I can be a mentor for everybody, I'd be, whoa, you're opening yourself up there. But I'm sure many people on this call will be like, when they sign up, can I have Lumka as a mentor, please, or Mbusi, or Chidiso. But there's so many mentors. I think Trace was over 100, just for PGDA.
Yeah, 110 mentors at the moment. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, and we just to say, the mentorship is completely voluntary from the student's perspective, which is how I'm basing Lumka. We're not part of the program. You can request to have a mentor if you feel that it's something valuable for you, and each mentor gets up to, I think, 5 students that they're walking alongside. So we're trying to keep it quite personal on that.
And organic as well. Who wants to be a mentor is a mentor. None of our alumni on the call here were forced to be mentors. It's who would like to be. And it's this lovely... It's
completely voluntary. They just give their time freely. They're very generous in terms of that.
Very much so. Yeah, we trust that none of them are invoicing the students, but yeah, no, but it's this organic thing that is just this culture of wanting to pay it forward and to help those coming through, especially if you've bumped your head. I mean, Lumka, Mbusi, Chidiso, have you got a few bumps? Did you learn a few things? I mean, all of us on this call, actually, when you've been through this journey, you're like, jeepers, I don't want somebody else to bump their head. But yeah, so the mentoring, the non-academic support, all of that, I think, is there for good reason, for very, very good reason. And if you don't need it, you don't need it. There may be some students that use it to less of an extent, but for whoever needs it, it is there in its many forms. A lot of it actually does also come through consults with academics. Lumka, you were referencing Rwandu, one of our academic trainees that we had. He is DJ Rudwizi. He used to play music in live sessions, get the vibe going, and that. We have fun. We have lots of fun while we're on this journey as well. Let's loop back quickly, because there's been 1 or 2 questions in the chat about the bridging program. So we are going over a little bit. We're just going to keep the discussion going for a while, just to close a few things. And I think, Chidiso, you did do the bridging program as well as PGDA. Like I said, our bridging program is also accredited for AGASA purposes with SAICA. You do need to complete the entire bridging program, all 4 modules, in order to get into PGDA. The same 4 PGDA modules that we have, the traditional 4 subjects, is what we have on the bridging program. But Chidiso, from your perspective, how did you find the bridging program? Did you do it half workload, or did you do it over 6 months? Maybe just tell us a bit about your experience.
I think before I tell you about my experience, I just want to, add to everybody that, one day your story will be an inspiration to somebody. That's just the one thing I want you to understand and to note. Even before you've decided, the fact that you're showing initiative and you're here, it's a testimony of the testimony that is still to come. Because I find that a lot of people bump their heads, like we've said, and bumping your head might look different for everybody. Some people it's financial constraints, some people it's interests. And I think for my story, I took 7 years to do an undergrad. And the funny thing about it is that I'm not an unintelligent person, but my interests in my career was not necessarily there, I'm an introvert who self-trained to be confident and, show extrovertism and, show all of these, I don't know, intangibles. But with regards to the technical ability, that's where I was lacking. And that's why it took me 7 years to do my undergrad. But I think you can imagine then when I'm finished with my undergrad for BCom Gen, and then I'm telling my parents, hey, I want to go do a bridging course to go do a CTA and then be a CA. You can imagine the amount of disbelief that goes on. And I think that's what I really appreciated about the bridging, because as soon as I signed up, well, first of all, there's two options. There's a 6-month option and a 1-year option. I'm a runner. I'm a little intense. I love to try, the fastest route possible. Not to say I want the easiest route, but I want the fastest route, which also meant more time allocation. I think what also helped with the bridging was that it started in June. So I started in June, finished in December, and then enrolled with my first attempt at PGDA. And I think the one thing I'll say is that in as much as like I said, your technical ability might not be there, and as much as the jump from bridging to CTA is quite a jump. Like if you're going to say, I don't know if anybody runs or goes into the sauna, but if you're running like a 5K, a 10K, that's like bridging, and then CTA is like 42K, it's like a marathon. It's like something you don't really just want to go in there without preparing. And I think more than anything, outside of the technical abilities, I think my fellow alumni also mentioned that, part of what is so inspirational about being here and why we also come back to give back is that even before whatever consult we're having, we pause the session to be like, hey, I see you're not okay. I see you're not present. And they try to remind you that, man, don't worry about yesterday. Don't worry about tomorrow. Hindsight and foresight, sometimes I think it's a gift and a curse because we are humans. We are the only animal that has consciousness. So you have a history of what you've done and you have a sort of trajectory of what you're capable of. But I think the intangibles is that by the time you're in the bridging, they already feed you that energy of belief to say you can do this. You are able to do this. You are able to try. You are capable. The fact that you even qualified to be here means that you have the capacity to do this and to be here, So I think that's definitely how I'd say my experience was, because I can't tell you how much I'm a lone wolf, but I also can't tell you how much affirmation I felt having left 7 years studying, people not understanding in my nucleus why I'm going to go study further. And then there are a whole bunch of people that are like, what, bro? I bumped my head in first year. I bumped my head, in this thing. So it's affirming in that light, because you really do need that. You might not think you need it, but you really, really do need it. And that's why I say your testimonies are just statements and messages that are still to come. Don't think that this is it, or don't think that your past experiences are where it's at. You still have the capacity and the time, the potential, and don't worry about your age as well. Like I'm 29 doing my first year of articles. It is what it is. I'll still qualify. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
You are 29, but some of the viewers may want to know, are you married or not, Chadiso? Just wondering.
She's in the room. Watch out.
Okay.
Watch out. I'm gonna save you.
No, great. But on the bridging, to quickly get back to the bridging, sometimes there's calls that students also need to make. If you haven't studied for a while, you may gain entrance into PGDA based on entrance criteria, but it may be in your interest to actually go and do maybe not even the full bridging, maybe a module or two to go and just get a refresher, to get a foundation. Trace, bridging versus PGDA, is it third year? Is it PGDA squashed into 6 months, PGDA light, or, how would you articulate bridging?
Sure. So the bridging program, our intention with that was really when we built the PGDA first, and we realized there were a lot of students who weren't ready to take on the challenge of PGDA, but had a lot of promise on the CA journey and just needed a little bit of preparation before taking on the PGDA challenge, whether that was because there had been, a significant length of time since they last studied, like life derailed them on the way, or maybe they academically didn't have the foundation for PGDA. And so the bridging course is really designed as a program to lay the foundation for PGDA. There is a lot of overlap between what is in the PGDA and what is in bridging, but it's a much shorter course, and it's designed to just give you the foundational principles so that if you come into the PGDA, you have a solid base on which to engage with that material. So the bridging course focuses on really the core principles and concepts that you need to know before you come into the PGDA. It strips out all the complexities, all the exceptions, just understand the core concepts, the basic foundational principles. And then when we get into PGDA, we can explore how that goes further into more complex topics, as well as the complexities in the topics that you had. Maybe also just to mention that the entrance requirements for the bridging program are to have a BCom, so a NQF 7 BCom, and you need to have done financial accounting at a second year level, at an NQF 6 level. If you have a BCom, but you haven't done financial reporting at an NQF 6 level, we now have an option for you as well, where you can go and do our intermediate financial reporting course, which is just that little piece, so that you can do the financial reporting at a second year level, and then you can come on to our bridging program. And then successful completion of the 4 modules in the bridging program qualifies you for entrance into our PGDA. The entrance requirements for the PGDA, while I'm at it, are to have a SAICA-accredited BCom in the last 3 years. So you can't have a gap of more than 3 years in your studies from your undergrad to your postgrad. Otherwise, you need to do our bridging program first before coming on to the PGDA. But there's a lot more information on the website, and you're also welcome to reach out to us if you have any questions. I'm sure that there are many people with different qualifications and backgrounds and journeys and stories that want some guidance, and our team is always happy to assist with those.
Yeah, no, great. That is great information. I did want us to share that. The detail of those exact entrance requirements, textbook lists, fees, whatever it may be, they're on the website, and you can find out there. We spoke about most of the color of the program, the length and the breadth of it, what we offer. Just in closing, I'd like maybe a comment from each of our alumni, and then Kim, Trace, also just think if there's anything else you'd like to share. But what would you say to a prospective chartered accountant who's on their journey, whether you're talking bridging PGDA, so they've got their BCom, or they're considering coming back into it? What would your advice to them be? Mbusi, you've got it.
Let me go. Yeah, I think for me, in fact, I'm so inspired by listening to everybody here. But I just want to say to everybody, life affords us some opportunities. And I think this is such a great time to grab those opportunities and run with it. Like, making a decision to pursue a career goal is not really just about studying, but it's about creating a future for yourself, And while time allows, I think it's very important for you to just take the decision, put your head down, work hard, go for those dreams, do not give up. I think you would have heard from all our stories that we are very much keeping this dream alive. Be like, write your story. And I think more than anything, I think these stories should tell you that if you have a dream, you will protect it at all costs. And for you taking this decision to do CTA or going back or doing the bridging course, this is you taking the decision to put your life and career first. And I think our stories hopefully have inspired you, because from all of us, it will end in CASA, right? So we also want you guys to sort of, finish that story on a high. So please make that decision and connect with all of us through LinkedIn. I mean, we'd love to chat with you guys, happy to do that. And wishing you guys all the best.
Fantastic. Who's next? Tidiso, Lumka.
I can go. Tidiso can be the last one to like drop mic. I mean, yeah, this was really inspiring again. You know, it feels like you re-go through this process every time. It's so amazing that you can never really forget the experience and what you learn, you know, going through this process. I always say that, you know, having those 4 letters behind your name, what they're really paying you for is what you go through the journey, because some of these things you won't learn if, you know, you're studying something else, you know. But I feel like there's so much I've learned just for my career, just doing, you know, this whole CASA journey. And, you know, it's really about believing in yourself. You know, you cannot face Goliath if you don't believe you can beat Goliath down. It's impossible. So start the year now believing that you're able to face it, you're able to do it. And, you know, there's no perfect formula to this because it's you against yourself every day. I started with this journey 2014 with my undergrad. It's been 10 years. Yes, I'm not done, but I mean, I'm almost there. But, you know, no one at the end with my peers are going to be like, when did you pass or when did you get your CASA? It doesn't matter. All what matters is you actually were able to conquer this journey, whether it's 10 years, whether it's 5 years. I mean, my little sister, she was able to do it in record time. She's done. But, you know, I don't look at her in a sense of, you know, I couldn't do it. I'm still continuing. Whether I'm the older sister, she had that inspiration from me to actually embark on this journey as well. And I'm grateful that she passed. So it's really about you standing in the mirror, talking to yourself and conditioning your mind that I'm able to do this and I'm doing it either for myself, for my family, for, you know, financial freedom, for a career, whatever it may be. Write your purpose. Don't just do PGDA for the sake of doing it. Have your purpose on a mirror daily and remind yourself why you're doing this thing, because there's always a reason to, you know, taking this risk and telling your story. So yeah, you know, it's really good that these sessions are available. Milpark doesn't just give you technical stuff. You have everything. So you have access to everything to really take you to the other side. Hold that, take it with your 2 hands and run with it until you get to APC, not just with CTA. So yeah, those are just my last words.
Fantastic. And it's such a lovely juncture because, Chidiso, you are a runner. So can you run with it? And can you give your final inspiration or advice to prospective students?
I think it wouldn't be a me conversation, or wouldn't have been in the conversation if I don't talk about my stoicism or my running. And in both, I feel like, you know, at the core of my stoicism is that I encourage myself to hold my difficulties with such honor that it inspires the next person to carry their own difficulties with a similar honor. And I think I say it that way because the reality of life is that we all don't know what the other is going through. We all don't know what the next person's challenges are. And I think whether or not you are embarking on this journey or any other journey, you just need to be mindful of what it is that you're trying to do and what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and just bear that difficulty with honor. Remind yourself that this will change your life. And I'll say it again, this will change your life, because really, it will change your life. You might be caught up, like Lumka said now as well. I started my academic journey in university in 2014 as well. I'm still on my journey. I'm still trying to fight for what it is that I want. And at the end of the day, you need to really prioritize delayed gratification over instant gratification. And that might mean that, you know, you have to sort of buckle down for a couple of years. You know, it might mean that you have to cut a couple of friends off. It might mean that you have to stop going to certain parties. But one thing I will say that really, really helped me sincerely is write a list of things you know you like to do that take your time, because this is just time intensive. Without time, you can't do this thing, right? Write a list of things that you know you like to do with your time. And on the opposite side, write what it is that you, or rather, differently said, write you're going to pass your CTA. That's the first envelope on the side. Then you write on the other side a list of the things that you know take up your time. And I need to emphasize, if this is about weight loss and you don't usually eat sweets, Adding sweets to the list of things that take up your time is not going to help. You need to make the list specific to you. If you eat mangoes and you consume calories in, alcohol or whatever it may be, write the list of things that take your time and make a promise to yourself that in this list, I'm going to write these things and I'm going to sacrifice these things. And the return I'm going to get for the time invested will be my CTA. That's my gift to myself. And I promise you, it sounds funny. It sounds, spiritual or whatever. But I promise you, so long as you have those two envelopes, you know what you want, you know what you're giving up. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that you have 2 thumbs up for that. You know what I mean? So believe in yourself. And like I say, remember you're human, but delayed gratification really, like by the time you look back and reflect on your actions and what you did and how you held yourself and pushed yourself, you will literally cry on graduation day like most of us did.
Excellent. I'm super inspired by this session and our alumni that have shared. We're going to call it there. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody that joined me in this webinar, especially our alumni for joining us. And not only for joining us here, for also giving it back as mentors. And a shout out to all of our mentors out there. We really appreciate you and everybody involved in our program. So if you have any other questions, visit our website. There's lots of information there, or reach out to us if you have a particular circumstance and you want to understand how programs could work for you. And it has been an absolute privilege sharing about our programs in our School of Professional Accounting in Milpark. Thank you so much for joining us.